I am going to show you how to use spells in Elden Ring. These are broken down into sorceries and incantations. They both work rather similarly though when it comes to equipping them and using them. First things first, you will need a casting implement for whichever version it is of these spells that you wish to cast. If you don't already have one, or you want to switch over, or for whatever reason you started as, let's say, a priest and now you want to be a mage, I'm going to show you guys an early place where you can get one of each of the casting implements that you'll need. First things first, you'll need to make your way from, where are we? Beginning area of the game, first step, and to the gatefront. From there then, you will want to make your way to the Stormhill Shack, where you can then follow this northern road under the bridge that you can see just here to the very tip of this bridge. You can drop down this bridge onto a ledge, you can kind of loop around and then follow this kind of edging here all the way past Stormvale. The reason you want to do this is, or should I say, the reason I'm saying this is because if you haven't unlocked Round Table Hold yet, some of this just won't be available to you, and I'd much rather that it all was. Once you rest here, this should get Melina to come back and invite you to Round Table Hold, provided that you got her to appear for you at Gatefront. So make sure you're resting at all of these graces. It's something to do with how many graces you rest at. So make sure you rest at all the graces, including this one, and she should appear to you. Before you travel back to the Round Table Hold, you should say yes when she first gets to you. So if you do that and then come back to here, you can then follow this road down to where we are now. The reason this is important is because over here, ordinarily, there will be a merchant, and he will sell your first available glintstone staff. I think it's called the Academy staff, and it's the starting staff that the astrologer starts with. So it's slightly better than the one that the prisoner starts with, which is kind of useful. Also sells the S-stock and some other stuff as well, if you're interested in that. I'll be able to show it to you once we get to the Round Table Hold merchant. So once you've gotten to this point then, you've got your invite to the Round Table Hold, and you've visited this merchant. If you want to cast sorceries, we can now head on over to the Round Table Hold to continue. So once we appear in the Round Table Hold, we're going to take a left. We're going to follow this down until we get to the, it's called the Handmaiden's Merchant or Shop or something like this. Here we go. Twin Maiden Husks. Here we go. I got it completely wrong. But in any case, we can go into purchase here, and straight out of the box, they will have the finger seal. This is your first and most rudimentary way of casting your incantations. There are obviously better than this in the game, but for getting started, there's nothing wrong with this at all. And just so that I can show you the merchant's inventory that we spoke about before, that I've already killed, this is the inventory that you'll be able to see. And this is the staff that you'll get, the astrologer's staff. You can see they have a minimum stat requirement in their relative fields. So intelligence is generally speaking relative to sorceries, and so you'll need at least 16 intelligence. Going back to the finger seal, you'll see this needs at least 10 faith, just to be able to use it. So once you have your desired casting implement for the kind of spells you would wish to cast, what you're going to need to do is head back to a grace so that we can actually equip the spells. So if you don't have any, we'll go over where you can get some basic ones in a second. But the way this basically works is when you acquire a spell, you can come to a grace and you have the memorize spell option. Simply come down here, and it basically works a lot like a weapon. You'll need to meet the basic stat requirements to cast the spell. Obviously this character is not very good for that, but we can definitely use Urgent Heal as an example. Okay, and now when we're out in the field, we can put a seal in one hand and use it as if it were a weapon. Let me just give you guys an example. So here we are out in the field. I've got a seal equipped. My spell is in the slot there, and now I simply press, because it's in my left hand, L1. And there it's casting the spell, which would ordinarily heal me if I had taken any damage. And you can see there the blue bar has gone down. It has in fact used some FP to cast. That obviously costs something like 16 FP to cast a healing spell. All of the spells work this way. Some of them charge. I don't know if this one does specifically. No, this one doesn't. Some of them you can charge as well, and some of them will also chain depending on the ability that is you're using. And that is going to be the basis with which you are able to cast spells. So starting out then, ordinarily speaking, obviously this character has progressed a little bit, but in the Roundtable Hold then, again, you will have a priest. He can sell you some basic incantations. And in terms of grabbing some spells then, you have 2 early game options. You can follow this road. So obviously you guys should be familiar with the gatefront. Follow this road down this way. And eventually you'll come to the Waypoint Ruins. If you beat the boss in there, which I think is a pumpkin head, there's a lady in there you can speak to. She'll sell you some basic sorceries. And in addition to that, where we just were at the kind of starting area of the Lakes of Liurnia, if you come into this church just here, you'll also see Thop. Give him 10 runes and he'll also sell you a couple of kind of basic sorceries as well. There are, of course, many sorceries hidden throughout the world of Elden Ring, so if there's anything specific you're looking for, feel free to give that a search. There's quite a few of them now up on the channel. So we have gone through how to equip spells, the fact they use FP. We've gone through the casting implements that you need to have on and how to equip them onto your character, and where you can find a few basic spells. I hope that helps you guys out, and I will see you all in the next video.